All right, what is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X to discuss the latest offseason news and rumors in New York Mets land. Before we get into that, I want to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for new episodes of our show that are recorded live now regularly again now on Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. And also, if you're in the live chat right now, we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all that great stuff. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored, just going to be starred throughout the show. We'll try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for more content over there. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on your favorite listening platforms to not miss the new version, the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. Also, make sure to give us a 5-star review. It'll be greatly appreciated. So without further ado, let's get into episode number 181 of our show. And as of right now, the winter meetings in Orlando have come and gone. The Mets have ended the winter meetings in a rough place for Mets fans after what we have just experienced, losing two key members of this team for now 7 years, because both of them had their first years as Mets in 2019. And let's just say there is a lot of uncertainty right now with Mets fans, and that is basically what is keeping it all afloat to what is going to go on. And I think that's one thing that a lot of Mets fans don't like. However, we still have a show to do. We still have things to discuss, obviously. Frank, I will go to you here, obviously. You were not on here for our raw reactions to these two signings that happened. You've been kind of in and out of the show recently, but we were able to kind of line things up a little bit better for all of our schedules. So now that we are on it Friday, so hopefully you can be the weekly guest, the weekly co-host that you usually were. But either way, not a fun episode to come back from, but we're obviously going to get into it. But welcome back. I hate to say how you're feeling because, I don't know, but welcome back.
Yeah, I don't know where you even want me to start. I mean, it was like I said, rough week. I mean, and we've been through a lot as Met fans, whether it's during the season or the off season. But like you said, to lose two key guys, losing one in one off season is enough. When you lose two on back-to-back days, it definitely is very frustrating. And as I've been saying, as the off season's gone on, you just get more frustrated. And the only thing that could kind of make me feel decent is if they just flat out say we're starting over. Because that's the only reason you can make at this point. Because what they are doing, you can't say you're making a better team. Because there's no way you can. You've watched other players go off the board, and your guys, it's not like they got super overpaid. It's not like, if we had matched this contract, it would have really set us back, and we would have prevented us from being competitive and building a good team. Like, there's no excuses there. So I just think that, for me, that's the only way this can make sense, because they have a lot of work to do. But it just feels that if they're not going to spend big, if you're just going for a bunch of, middle of the pack guys to fill your team, you got nothing. I mean, how could you possibly win? I mean, we talk about you need your stars to come through, but it's like, where are you going to get the talent from? You also need some kind of talent. So, and people are annoyed about Tyler Rogers going away. I mean, I'm glad the Mets didn't bring him back. When they said they might, that pissed me off too. I was like, here's a guy that, you're blinded by the ERA. I mean, what about when this guy comes in with men on base and he gives up a ground ball single and then the run scores? I mean, you got to look at the actual appearances that he made. I mean, this is someone that, with the kind of bullpen the Mets have right now at this moment, Tyler Rogers was no good for this. I mean, they need some versatility in this bullpen. They have a lot of openings there too. I mean, and that's kind of where they're at. They got openings everywhere. Bullpen, rotation, infield, outfield, DH. I mean, there's so much they have to do. Yet despite that, they still have a high payroll. It's like, how could that be? How can you be so bad and have such a high payroll? It's really crazy.
I mean, listen, we have a roster right now that is very imbalanced, especially when you're talking about the depth chart, because you have like 2 outfielders as of right now, and you have like 7 infielders. Uh, the, I mean, just at this point, we'll see what they end up doing. We're not sure. And like I said, the uncertainty, I feel, is what is making a lot of Mets fans uneasy as of right now. There's plenty to get into as for the details of these signings, some other things, some other avenues that maybe the Mets are going in. But as of right now, it's very understandable for Mets fans to be upset, for Mets fans to be confused, for Mets fans to be frustrated because they don't know where this team is going. And it's definitely not a feeling that you want to have, especially when you know that there's expectation for this team to put on a winning product every single year, since Steve Cohen did end up buying the team. But we'll see where they end up going. Either way, Andrew, you're also here, obviously. In the aftermath of everything, the reaction, like we said on the streams that we did for our raw reaction to these signings, it's okay to be upset. It is okay to be upset. But there also are not technicalities, but also pieces of details that some Mets fans also do need to take into account in order to move on.
Yeah, and again, seeing all these fan favorites back to back to back to back, and I think what also is pissing fans off is there are no like retorts. There are no other signings where it's like, okay, there's like with previous GMs, there was, oh, we lost Jacob deGrom, and then 48 hours later, Justin Verlander was a Met. He hasn't done that. Yeah. He hasn't had the pushback, and for Mets fans, it's just back to back to back to back, just getting their hearts broken, and then we haven't seen the response yet. Again, we have said that, again, we don't play baseball, and that actually matters until March, 27th or whatever it's going to be. So we don't need to fill a rock. But also now, hate him, love him, Stern is going to be here. Stearns feels he has a plan. It might be horseshit. Who knows? But he's got plenty of time to put it together. So you can hate him, love him, trust him, don't trust him. You're stuck with him. So you can cry and moan at all you want. He's not going anywhere. So he has to see it out. From everything we've seen, when he has, popped his little nerd head in front of a camera, he keeps talking about the youth. So it's going to be a youth movement. For good or worse, he's going to let young players play every day, it looks like, or at least start the season. We've seen Benj, Jet Williams. Those guys are going to get opportunities. He's going to try to build a team like the Brewers. Well, the Brewers are built on young, controllable players. So you know what? It is what it is. We've already seen a few fan favorites out the door. We got rumors on the West Coast that another one could be going. Who knows? I mean, that's just, gotta love San Diego media.
That's made up.
Again,
that's made up. That's literally
made
up.
I know. I was trying to be funny.
Stop entertaining it.
Well, I mean, hell,
stop entertaining stupidity.
Jackson Merrill, get this Fashion Nova queen over to San Diego. He fit right in with Machado and Tatis out there. Yeah. You can go have fun do a little fashion show in the clubhouse. I am kidding. But yeah, again, it's just we've lost so much, and Stearns has not punched back, and he will. To how big of star, to be determined. I just can't wait for that. Jake Myers for Kodai Senga. And there's your one outfielder, guys. You're done. Run prevention. Love defense. Championship winning defense. Totally not, score runs. But, fun.
I mean, I think, again, you can look at it in an irrational way, go crazy, scream at the top of your lungs. And to be honest, that is warranted. It is. It 100% is. I was more upset about the first guy who went, not because of if he's my favorite player or not, more of the fact of the situation, which we will get into in a second. Before we do get into this, and this is a weird way to kind of wedge this in here, I went live solo for the last podcast episode, and there was a donation that came through that I completely missed because the chat was going way too fast. So I want to shout out that donation and say thank you for that donation. It came from Darren Rivera saying shout out to Carson, who backs up his statements with facts, and the eye test and the chat for their informative feedback. It was $4.99 donation. So thank you to Darren Rivera for that donation last stream. I apologize that I was not able to.
You said $4.99s?
$4.99, yes.
Oh, I thought you said 99 4 times. I was like, what stream did I miss?
No.
Okay, never mind. But thank you anyway.
Anyways, Darren Rivera, thank you for donating here. I don't know if he's in the chat as of right now, but thank you for that. For those of you, donations are not required, but they are accepted. So thank you very much for supporting our stream last episode, but I had to shout it out here. So my bad. That was on me. Put that one on me. The infamous Derek Carr quote. Anyways, I think Frank just lagged out or something. Something happened with his camera. I'm not sure. But, okay, I think you're good, right? You good?
I hope so. I don't know.
Okay.
Weird.
Hey, this is done live. So you can't say that we edited anything out. So things happen.
Oh,
anyways,
no. Yeah.
Either way, let's get into the first domino that went on to fall. I should say kind of second because they would be the second core member with, if you're including Nimmo, who ended up being traded. But Edwin Diaz signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers for 3 years, $69 million. The trumpets have been muted, as we are saying. Either way, there was some information that ended up coming out because we always have the exit tweets that come out when a big piece ends up signing elsewhere. And as for from Joel Sherman on X at the beginning, saying that the Mets ended up offering 3 years, $66 million with modest deferrals, which was quote unquote what they said from league officials, modest deferrals, and expressed that there was some wiggle room to go higher before Diaz decided to go coast to coast to join the World Series champs. Anthony DiComo on MLB.com said that although team officials made it known they could still increase their offer, Diaz chose the Dodgers before that happened. A person with knowledge of his thinking indicated that the offers were not necessarily close in the slim difference in real world money, which is why Diaz's camp didn't feel obligated to circle back to the Mets at the end. Mike Puma on X said that other two factors that didn't help the Mets in trying to retain Edwin Diaz. Diaz's brother Alexis was with the Dodgers last season and spoke glowingly of their staff and infrastructure. Also, Edwin Diaz was less than thrilled with the Mets dumping pitching coach Jeremy Hefner. Jeff Passan on SportsCenter also said that the split between Edwin Diaz and the Mets started when he did not get a call giving him a heads up about their decision to sign reliever Devin Williams. He's a free agent, so perhaps that's understandable, but he was not happy about that. Either way, Edwin Diaz goes to the Dodgers, ending a 7-year tenure with the New York Mets after getting traded for Jared Kelenic and friends with a man who shall not be named who wore 24. It's been a while. He's been here for a long time. And obviously, like we said, some drama induced with some of those reports, like I just said, that I'm sure plenty of Mets fans have opinions on, and they have every right to have those opinions. But Frank, again, like we didn't get your reaction, even though I'm pretty sure you put out your own separate videos on your separate channel, obviously. Pretty much ends here with these reports, pretty much ends here the way Edwin Diaz's tenure went with the New York Mets. Up and down, a roller coaster, drama-induced, crazy stuff happening over and over again. Never knew where we stood. But either way, what is true here is that Edwin Diaz is going to the Dodgers. It is official. They had their press conference today. Anything that you want to unpack from your reaction to this re-signing? Something that I didn't expect it to happen. But listen, he goes to the Dodgers. That's what he wanted. He moves on, and the Mets are going to have to do the same as well.
Yeah, the whole when he was upset about them signing Devin Williams, that one I don't quite get that one, because I mean, like I said, he was a free agent, so first of all, they're not obligating anything to him, and second of all, why is he upset? Like, if anything, you were going to be the closer if you came back, not Devin Williams, and they made that very clear. So if anything, Williams was supposed to help Diaz in New York. He's supposed to help get him the ball. How many times this past season, when the Mets were struggling, did you not see Edwin Diaz for a week? Because this team didn't even have a lead in the ninth inning. The team, as we know for the season, never made a single comeback when they were down in the ninth inning. So there were so many times where Edwin Diaz just kind of sitting there doing nothing, or the super bullpen that they tried to build, and Helsley and these guys were blowing the game. It's like, definitely supposed to help you get more opportunities. Like, I mean, I don't get that part of it at all. If he's upset about Jeremy Hefner, I mean, listen, time will tell. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see how good or bad Jeremy Hefner was, and if this new coach is better, you would hope. But, I mean, with the Mets, you never know, you know? So that's something, I guess, you know, maybe they had a good relationship. And if Alexis Diaz has good things to say about the Dodgers, I could understand that too. But overall, I think for the Mets, the idea of how quickly they went and got Devin Williams, giving him a 3-year deal, with how they've been kind of stingy with some other areas, I still find it very interesting. I hope it's not the Milwaukee connection that, like, David Stearns was kind of, and like we say, you know, going for your own guy. Could that be something that's going on here? If we truly are, you know, building the team in David Stearns' image, and you're going with someone like Devin Williams, that is, I just don't like it. I really don't. I felt like, you know what, Diaz, that contract is so much more worth it. It's so much safer, because at least with Diaz, I'm paying more, but I know what I'm getting. I know I'm getting elite, and it's going to get the job done. Whereas with Devin Williams, I'm taking a chance here. I really am. It's like, am I going to get the Milwaukee one, or am I going to get the Yankees one? And I think that, you know what, just losing Diaz now, it puts double the pressure on Williams, and it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, like I said, they now have a whole bullpen they got to fill. AJ Minter is going to miss opening day. Even Brooks Raley, like, he's good, but look how old Raley is. Like, you're going to count him to make it through the full season, the kind of workload they gave him. We saw how many Mets pitchers are having Tommy John. Like, it's going to be a tough road no matter what. So I feel like Diaz, at least you knew you had him. Like, you had something. Just, get the ball to the ninth inning. But with him out of the picture now, and Devin Williams here on a 3-year deal, and both guys got 3, and then there's talk of, like, you know, $3 million different, deferrals and stuff like that. It's just, I don't get it. It's like, you know what, I don't understand why they wouldn't just go the $3 extra million. But number two is that, like, if you did the Nimmo trade, and this thing that also frustrated me, the whole reason you did the Nimmo trade was for long-term money. And if you feel that you have to rely on deferrals to get a guy, despite doing that Nimmo trade and increasing your AAV this year in the process for Semien, like, I don't understand why you did it then, because, like, what are you using it for? You know, I feel like that's the other thing too. I just feel that as they keep trying to make these replacements, they keep getting worse.
Yeah. Some people in the chat are saying, you know, Rogers signed with the Jays, 3 years, $37 million. We already went over that. Listen, it's whatever. But either way, I was fine with him, fine without him. It didn't really matter. Andrew, I'll go to you here. Obviously, a lot of stuff coming out about this whole stuff with Diaz. There's also a possibility that maybe he just did not want to be here. Like, who knows? Maybe there was a suggestion to where he just did not want to be here. And if he doesn't want to be here, we're not going to hold anybody hostage. You know, like how we say, you know, if somebody requests a trade, you know, if you don't want to be here, we will move you. That's fine. Either way. I mean, again, we know that the bullpen needs a lot of work. We know it does. We know that Devin Williams was a factor into possibly building the bridge to Diaz. We'll see how they are going to form this together. But again, there's a lot of uncertainty when you move on from a piece like Edwin Diaz, who is a very dynamic reliever. So, I mean, it's rough. It is a rough loss. Let's just say that, and also certain with the situation. I mean, $3 million difference between those two offers. Obviously, he went to the Dodgers. He didn't let the Mets match, but I feel like they overplayed their hand here. They did.
Yeah, and the fact that again we saw the press conference today, and him being like, "Oh, I chose the Dodgers." You want to win, of course. I mean, God, if you want the easiest, and it's kind of funny now. He's wearing number 3. I thought that was real cute, Edwin. Very very subtle what you're trying to do over there, wearing a single digit number as a pitcher. But yeah, if he doesn't want to be here again, you can't hold him hostage. I mean, it is, and we also need to keep into this consideration, especially when it comes to that. Oh, he was hurt about them signing Devin Williams. We all got egos. And we could say it as fans and being like, oh no, that's supposed to help you. But like in the back of your mind, you're like, bro, you should be prioritizing me. I've done it in New York and I was good in New York. Why are you signing him first over me? You signed me first, then you go sign that guy. We all got egos in the thing. So if that is a real factor, then it's a petty one. But again, human beings are petty. Any little thing, again, and we can say, oh, that's not real. Imagine being in your job and being like, you and another guy, and the boss picks that guy, but you're like, I bust my ass. He sits on his ass watching YouTube videos. Why is he getting paid? That's where it kind of be. So again, for that perspective, if that mattered so much, yeah, I just love his brother told the Dodgers, was so good. Yeah, Alexis played 4 innings with them, pitched 5-6 innings with the Dodgers. He's such a long-term Dodger. And they fixed him. Remember, he was good in Cincinnati. We thought, oh, he go to the Dodgers and be fixed. He still sucks. But again, like you said, if some guys just want to win, and we'll see how toxic this locker room was, and we got a bunch of guys, pulling the guns to each other, want to kill each other. You get out of that dysfunctional organization, go to the Dodgers. You get a little bit of defer money, you get the money now, and you're gonna win the World Series. There ain't nobody touching you. Like, I get it, it sucks for us, it sucks for the rest of baseball, but if you have, the best team in baseball saying, hey, that's our only hole, we want you and we love you and we want you to fix our major problem, everyone's jumping at that. So we can be as mad as you want and understand it's, it's a bitch move. It is what it is. And from the perspective of the Mets bullpen, this is something, I guess maybe this will be another discussion, but you look at this Met bullpen, there is no velocity in this pen. There is no straight gas. Minter, we'll see when he comes back. Devin Williams only throws 95, 96. Brooks really ain't giving you no velocity. So there needs to be some guys added to this pen who can actually hit triple digits. And obviously we've seen the, McGill, interest. Fairbanks is, 98, 99, occasionally to 100. But again, it's an interesting look. You have the ability now that you didn't pay, $20 million for a reliever. You can sign 4 relievers for $20 million. And damn well Stearns is going to love, I can go bargain bin shopping and find 4 relievers for $5 million. So, and try to deepen the pen or make some trades. So it does suck. Again, it's more now you know how long I have that guarantee of, you have a lead in the 9th inning, you're going to win this game. But again, this past year, we didn't really have many 9th inning leads because, we've seen that we were always losing after the 8th inning. So, again, it's great to have him, but if you ain't got leads for him to cover, what's really the point?
I mean, there's really just not really much to say. And we all know that I'm the number 1 Diaz guy here. And listen, the fan base, if you want to turn on him, go ahead and turn on him. He wants to be a Dodger. That's fine. And, we can take anything with a heavy heart and we can watch things with anger and we will take everything the wrong way. That's fine. That is fine. I'm not going to sit here and trash Edwin. He was my favorite Met. Listen, I am let's just say, somewhat of an adult. And I'm like, okay, baseball is business. That's pretty much it. He moves on to the Dodgers. It's whatever. I was upset given the situation of the $3 million. I feel like they should have just given him that 4th year for that preliminary offer that they made to him because they did make an offer. They should have just offered him 4 years. But there also was a report that he had more than 3-year offers from other teams, and he ended up choosing the Dodgers. So maybe he just wanted to be a Dodger, and if he wanted to win, he wanted to win. I'm fine with it. It's whatever. But either way, Edwin Diaz is 100% a big loss. Personally, I would have gone the extra mile to sign him just because of how big of a dynamic reliever, like we've already talked about. But I also understand frustration, because I've shown this frustration all year about Edwin Diaz and the Mets' usage of him. There's been times where they have coddled this guy, where he's been very, very public about wanting to pitch more. He always likes to pitch. That's the one thing about him. He's a rubber arm. He's always out there. The only thing that stopped him from throwing was tearing up his knee. That was it. Either way, he's out there. He's throwing. He's a rubber arm. And we saw many times, even for the guy who just signed that everybody's talking about in the chat here with Tyler Rogers, we saw that one time where they did not go to Edwin Diaz for that second inning and decided to go for Tyler Rogers in the 10th inning with a runner on. That's mismanagement right there. That's how they lost the game. You know, like we saw that many, many times before where they wouldn't give him the second inning. They would be like, oh, well, no back-to-back days, when he was the $102 million arm. So I understand that type of frustration. What I don't understand is frustration about Jeremy Hefner, which Jeremy Hefner kind of put Diaz a little bit back onto his course after, who is that guy? Who's the guy we had in 2019? Elin?
Reagan?
Not Reagan. Not Reagan. They fired, was it Elin?
Dave
Maybe.
Island? Yeah, Island.
Dave Island. And Jeremy Hefner came in 2020, and he kind of put him back on his course. That's fine. But personally, if firing Jeremy Hefner was such a big factor, he would have joined the Braves, right? Doesn't that make a little bit more sense? Like, if the pitching coach was that big of a problem, wouldn't he have joined Atlanta? Doesn't that make more sense? I mean, and again, I'm not saying that, oh yeah, Diaz, you should have went to the Braves, because I don't want him on the Braves. But what I'm saying is that makes a little bit more sense, doesn't it? Because Mark Pryor, we already know Pryor, the pitching coach for the Dodgers. We know there's a reputation as well of those guys not staying healthy either. So I'm not going to sit here and say that that's just going into from one situation to another. That is fantastic. But again, the Dodgers are a winner. That's true. They've won back-to-back World Series. The Mets are in a stage where they want to be like the Dodgers, but they're very, very far away from that. And we are going to get into that more as we talk a little bit more about Pete Alonso here. But Tyler Rogers, speaking of this bullpen, I will get into a report that just came out from John Heyman saying that the Mets made a reasonable try to bring back Rogers, but the Jays winning $37 million offer, which can go to $48 million with a fourth-year vesting option, and they had no deferrals, hard to pass up. That was from, and he says that Kevin Rosenthal obviously had the report first. So Tyler Rogers goes to the Blue Jays. They get him after also being in Diaz's market as well. So that kind of lines up a little bit perfectly. We knew that they were after bullpen as well, especially after how they saw losing in the World Series. Either way, again, I'm not going to sit here and make Edwin Diaz the devil, even though to some people it'll sound scummy. Maybe it's just the fact that I like Diaz and I'll be rooting for Diaz no matter what. But you know, it's whatever. I mean, I always said that I was okay with him going somewhere else. If he ends up going, he ends up going. But the way that it kind of unfolded, I was a little upset in that matter. Let's just say that. Just because of the whole situation where Devin Williams comes over here, He's a David Stearns guy. And then it kind of just gets pushed to the side where Edwin Diaz ends up going to the Dodgers. And the difference is $3 million between these two offers. And yes, I know that that Diaz apparently did not let them match. But again, I still would have given a 4-year deal up front as my first ever offer. And apparently they didn't end up doing that. So I don't know what the thought process is for this bullpen now. Could it be Devin Williams possibly being this team's closer? It's likely. We know that they aren't ruling out a possibility of bringing in another closer, another back-end guy, but we'll see. Devin Williams seems to be the guy that they are committing it to. And I do think that Devin Williams can be good, but I liked him a little bit more in the 8th inning. So I do think that in this certain situation, I 100% believe that they overplayed their hand with Diaz. They should have made a little bit more of a push here, but we know that Devin Williams has closer experience, and they're going to have to find a way to figure that out. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not sure what the direction is here with the bullpen, but we know that Devin Williams is going to be in that bullpen. We know that AJ Minter is going to be in that bullpen. We know that Brooks Raley is going to be in that bullpen. Everything else, we don't know as of right now. Is there anything that you want to add, Frank, Andrew, on this whole situation? Because we have another player to go into who also left us.
Yeah, let's go to the next one. I mean, because, like I said, there's a lot of work to do. At least with the Mets, like, even though I don't love the Devin Williams signing to begin with, at least they had something in place in case one guy left. With Pete, I mean, no matter what, they didn't have anything. So it's like, if you lost them, then what did you have? At least with Diaz, that's their only excuse is Williams. With Alonso, they just have nothing.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens in terms of this, but as for Edwin Diaz, he did post the goodbye on his Instagram saying, New York, New York, the city that never sleeps and that forever shaped me. Thank you for 7 incredible years in your city. Thank you, Mets fans, for your love and support and that you showed me over those 7 memorable years. It has been the biggest honor to wear the Mets uniform and sound the trumpets in Queens, New York. I'm grateful to the ownership, coaches, staff, teammates, and fans that my family and I met along the way. You'll always be such a special part of our journey. That is Diaz saying goodbye to Mets fans on his Instagram. Either way, let's get into the other goodbye. Now, Pete Alonso is gone. He has gone off to the Baltimore Orioles, signing a 5-year, $155 million contract. And in total contract value, it is 41st among MLB players, 5th among first basemen. The $31 million average annual value is 18th among MLB players, and among first basemen, second behind Vladimir Guerrero Jr. As for some of the reports, the aftermath reports that came through with Pete Alonso off to Baltimore, Anthony DeComo said via X, saying that the Mets never made a formal offer to Pete Alonso per source, as it became clear to them the bidding was heading to places they weren't interested in going. John Heyman, via the New York Post, said that the Mets never made an offer because they never conceived the price would raise like this, and word is they were shocked that somebody else gave him a 5-year deal at a raise from the $30 million he made last year. There was never going to be that match on Alonso for the Mets, who are fixated on runs prevention at the expense of the power and popularity, which are pretty important too, which is John Heyman's opinion. And Mike Puma said that the basic message I just received from Mets official in the lobby, there are plenty of holes to fill, and it's a long off season, and there's plenty of good options available. So again, Pete Alonso, obviously, big part of this team for 7 years. Like I said, both him and Edwin Diaz were here. Andrew, we are kind of on the same page here, and I'll redirect it back to you. Listen, there's plenty of angles that we can put out to this, of either trying to convince Mets fans. We talked about this on our stream, the raw reaction of him going to the Orioles. But I personally, again, this is just me, and this is probably just a select few. I personally already mourned Pete Alonso leaving the second he signed with Scott Boras. I don't know if that's how you feel as well. I always knew that it was a possibility. And he signed with Scott Boras, what was it, 2 years ago? Like, I very numb, to be honest, because we knew that this was a possibility. It was a possibility.
Yeah, and I think David Stearns told you all he thought about last year with how that negotiation went. He had every opportunity, if he wanted to give him a 3-4 year deal, lock him up, and have him be here. What did he do? He does a pillow contract. He has a good year. He comes out and he opts out. And the fact that, again, he doesn't even make an offer. Again, people will tell you who they are by their actions. And he has told you ever since he's come here, has been here, he does not want this polar bear. And the fans had that last grasping hope that Steve Cohen would be that magical knight in the distance to come save and play the fan card. He never wanted him. He was never going to pay him. And that's what happened. Baltimore gave him an offer he couldn't refuse, and how fast he had. We were saying, oh, there's no way Alonso signs. You know, we're at the winter meetings. We're expecting, again, this to draw out. And it's almost like, again, Baltimore said, oh, we lost Kyle Tucker. Well, we've got this burning hole in our pocket. Who's the next fat guy we can pay? You. Come here. And not like the fact that they already had 3 first basemen on the roster just to sign another one. So, and now they're overplayed. You know, we have 97 second basemen. The Orioles have like 96 first basemen. So now you bring him into that roster, which makes their lineup better, and good for them. I think the Orioles lineup's great. They still can't pitch for anything, but you know, lineup looks good on paper, really deep. Adley bounces back. That's a real scary team offensively. But for the Mets, Stearns told you he did not want him. So hey, you again, burn the polar hats, burn the polar bear jerseys. I guess we're not shooting out a polar bear out of the apple for the 5-1 homer. Good riddance. They have, you know, champagne showers in Baltimore. He'll love that, getting soaked after every homer. But now the Mets pivot. And again, we talked about this throughout all the offseason last year and this year. There are going to be solutions. And I can already see, well, he's not Pete Alonso. Well, David Stearns is telling you we want to make a different looking team. And if you're telling me that they're going to trade for a guy to play first base, maybe the guy we're going to talk about later, and then you're adding a DH, and then you add a center fielder, and you have a deeper 1 through 9 lineup, I'd much rather have, instead of paying Pete Alonso the $30 million, $31 million, you're telling me that I can maybe have a deeper 1 through 9 lineup built of league average or above hitters? Or I can say Polar Bear, Juan Soto, Francisco Lindor, and then, God, that back half of that lineup sucks. If this gives David Stearns, again, he has to prove it. And again, he knows that. And he knows what he's done. He has to go to work. So again, we are continuing to play in the world of what ifs because we don't know what his plan is. But again, maybe a video I'm going to do. I have a solution. If you're telling me maybe this is the way you go and you can have a deeper lineup of MLB caliber players while also giving the opportunities, not right away to the kids, but to still have that possibility to use some of that top prospect capital that Davidson clearly wants to use, it gives you that, ability. Playing pretend is fun, as Evan says. But yes, that's the point. If all the polar bear kids are crying into their milkshakes, that sucks. The kids are pissed. That understand. David Stearns did not care. David Stearns is a straight, common, doesn't care about your feelings. Go eat a polar burger. Go take it out. Have fun. This is what he wants to do. He wants to get more athletic. He maybe wants to go deeper with a deeper lineup. Again, we're playing in ifs, ands, or buts. We don't know. But again, the fact that we are shocked that there are still people that were shocked about, oh my God, I can't believe he's not a Met. You guys make me look smart, and that's a problem.
Anyway. That's going to fucking cure. Either way. Okay.
Yeah.
Frank, I'm going to swing this one over to you, kind of tagging off of Andrew here. Brandon Nimmo, Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso, all gone. Basically sends a message here. Whether it's sternly or not, no pun intended, that it does not matter if you are a fan favorite. I don't care if everyone loves this guy. If he's been good individually, we need to make a change. What will that change be? I don't know. None of us know. And like we said, there is uncertainty here. But there also is a vision here, or a vision that Mets fans have had, of seeing this team underperform. And I'm sorry, I can't say I'm giving $155 million over 5 years to Pete Alonso to flip around and say say no. I'm sorry. I wouldn't have done it. I don't know if you would have done it, but no, I wouldn't have done it.
I mean, like I said, they have a lot of holes to fill. But I mean, my thing is with who? That's really what it comes down to, because Pete Alonso, the 5 years, 155, you didn't do that. You didn't do Schwarber for 5 years, 150. So it's like, hey, we talk about like actually like really good players. Who are you going to get? I mean, they're not going to go out there to get another star. I mean, that's flat out what they're doing. And, this idea of, is it the reporters? The ones that are saying, oh, well, you moved Jeff McNeil to left field for Nimmo. Oh, no, you moved him to first base for Pete. Like, he's got to go too. If we're getting rid of everyone, then it's everyone, So it's like Jeff has to go too. So that's another position. You want to talk about another position player you got to fulfill, whether that's the bench or just somebody in a utility role. But, there's been talks of like, exactly, Paul Goldschmidt. Like, that can't be the solution. Like, you can't say, oh, I'm not going to get Pete because I'm going to sign Paul Goldschmidt at 38 years old. And I think overall, like, when you have all these openings and you're afraid to do long-term deals. So if you have to address, like we're just going off the first base, center field, left field, DH, we're just doing those four. If you're doing a bunch of short-term deals, well, then guess what? You have to find another first baseman, a center field, left field, DH a bunch of times. So at some point, you do have to make some decisions and say, these are guys that I want to lock down and commit to long-term. Because like we've said, a lot of the Mets guys, whether it's a Jet Williams or some of these other guys, they played the same position. So it's not like you have all these young pieces that you could lock down long term. So that's more so what I want to see, is that you moved on from Nimmo and Alonso, so you're kind of trying to free up the future, change the core. But it can't just be Lindor and Soto. Like, they are going to need some other guys. And when I look at who's available, it doesn't excite me. And I think that the guys who are good, the Mets have just shown they're not going to those levels. Like, they're not getting Kyle Tucker, no doubt about it. At first, I wasn't huge on the Cody Bellinger thing, but with the way this offseason has gone, I feel like he's almost a need at this point, because they need center, left, and first. He plays all of them. So if you could just, if you get something else to work out, okay, then you could move Cody to the outfield. If you somehow find outfielders, okay, you move him to the infield. Like, I feel like that's someone they kind of need, because they have so much. They need more versatility on this team to begin with. So I just think that would add something for them and make you feel a little bit better about Pete. But overall, like we said, it's a lot of work to do, and they don't have, and like we said, even with them doing all of this, they don't have that flexibility. But the whole thing is, when you have Steve Cohen and you're adding in a new casino to get even more money, you shouldn't have to act like that. Like, you don't have to be like, oh, well, you know what? Well, we need to free up money. You don't need to. It's not required. So
yeah, you do. You do.
Okay. Well,
you do. I'm sorry. You
Okay,
do.
but if you do, then why are you signing Soto $51 million? For 15 years. You can't have it.
Soto is part of this core, and he's part of the next core as well. He signed for 14 years. I mean, he's 27 years old. He's not 40. You know what I mean? Like here's the thing. Okay, here's the deal. I understand Mets fans from this aspect being upset. It is okay to be upset. However, when we talk about this from the perspective either from Mets fans or other media outlets where they talk about, okay, what is the plan B? I think that this was the plan A. Like Andrew just said, I think that was the plan A, especially after we saw how the Mets kind of treated Pete Alonso's free agency last year. And we all know without it being connected to the qualifying offer not being connected to him, he was going to have a better market. And he ended up having a better market. And he got that money. Good for Pete. Wish him the best. Move on. And the main reason as to why I say that is, again, we talk about it all the time. Merlin's saying it in the chat. If a core is inconsistent and collapses consistently, why run it back? I mean, how many times are you going to do this? You're going to invest more money into Pete Alonso when you know damn well that with Pete Alonso, they're mediocre. Neither mediocre or bad helps you win ball games or helps you contend for a World Series. But in one of those where you're bad without Pete Alonso, that in that reality, you're not overpaying him and you don't have a top heavy roster, which we've talked about a lot. And this is the one thing that I can't listen to over and over and over again. How are we going to replace Pete Alonso? How are we going to replace 40 home runs? You're not going to replace him. So stop trying. Stop trying. Bring in multiple pieces. Make the lineup deep.
I know, but you also have to see that there talks about, they're really interested in a reunion with Starling Marte. It's like, that's what we're talking about here. That's how we're going to make the lineup better. We're not going to keep Pete. We're going to have Marte that's who we want to keep. We're talking change the core, but we want to keep the bad players.
Doing
like that
and
doesn't make any sense.
if they end up doing that, then I'm going to have a different conversation.
Okay,
but again,
but that's what's being talked about.
I already know why Marte's coming back. We all know why Marte would come back. We all know why. He's got a best friend in right field. That's why.
But listen, Soto's, like you said, Soto's here 14 more years. If Marte's here 14 more years, then, I mean, yikes.
If he's here 14 more years, then yeah, I'm going to start questioning something. Yeah. However, I do think that if they were to improve this team, try to deepen the lineup, also give some leeway for the kids to play, because they obviously want those kids to play. And they're obviously high on some of these guys as well, which is fine. Either way, if you were to add guys in, I think it only makes sense to be trading. And there needs to be multiple trades for them to make. And that's the main reason as to why it only does make sense. Because, again, you traded for Marcus Semien. You basically traded Brandon Nimmo for Jeff McNeil's replacement. Jeff McNeil is still here. You have about, 7 infielders, so you have to rearrange something there, right? And then also the fact that you need first baseman, you need a left fielder, so bring in multiple bats. Make the lineup deep. Why do we always talk about this? Well, this Mets lineup, it's nothing without these 3 at the top of the lineup. I wonder why, because you're paying them so much, and you're constructing a roster where it's top heavy. I wonder why. And obviously, when we talk about the player development, that needs to be better as well. But it's like, if you're going to suck with Pete Alonso, you might as well suck without him. Like, what is the point? Make the team deeper. Put depth on the team. Deepen the lineup. Like, I can't fathom saying, well, throw 5 years, $155 million at Pete Alonso because he deserves it. He's done so much for this organization. The team doesn't win. It doesn't win.
Yeah, because he's the only one driving them in.
So you can get rid of him and then bring in more people that can drive in runs.
Like who? I'm waiting to see Stearns do it. I'm waiting to see Stearns bring in an actual hitter. He hasn't done it yet.
Well, if he doesn't, and we make 0 moves from now until the beginning of spring training.
Look at the guy he brought in, Semien. Look how much. You know, should we be paying Semien a year to bat below league average?
Semien helps this team, though.
Carson, $25 million. He's not even league average. That's what we're bringing in.
You sure?
Yes, that's who we brought in. Yes, I'm sure he's here. Yes, I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, if you want to talk about this from roster construction and fantasy baseball, please do. And say, well, we need to find a first baseman that can replace Pete Alonso, 40 home runs, 120 RBIs. Good luck doing that. Good luck doing that. How about we trade for a piece that can play first base? Let's trade for somebody else. Let's replace
and what about
Pete
the
Alonso
pitchers
with
they need to trade for?
Multiple bats.
And what about the pitchers they need?
Well, they need to trade off some pieces as well. Like I said, you have Senga, you have McNeil. There was reports about David Peterson maybe being available as well, which again is not going to happen.
You need more rotation, and you're trading away 2 more of your rotations. Now you need even more. Like, and you're saying they need a left fielder. Yeah, because they traded their left fielder. Like, that's why they need one, because they got rid of their left fielder. Like, they knew they had too many.
Are you telling me there can only be 1-for-1 deals? You're telling me there's only
what
1-for-1 deals?
I'm telling you is they're making more messes. Like, they're doing more questions than answers. That's what they're doing. They're creating more questions. Because
and what was it with
the
these
infield
players?
Is crowded.
A mess.
The infield is crowded for the young players, correct? Is that not what you said? So
yes.
They added a super old infielder. That's what they did.
Yeah. So
it's more crowded.
Some of the infielders.
So then how are they going to make space for the young players if they're trained for more old men in the infield?
What do you mean more old men in the infield?
Semien, again.
Okay.
You can't. They're trying to block Jeb Williams by having Marcus Semien here. That's what they're doing.
That's not a problem to me.
Okay, well, we'll see. I mean, then they're going to trade him, which they're not doing that either. So he's just going to be
the reason why they traded for
Semien
Semien is because your favorite player stinks at turning double plays with Francisco Lindor.
Yeah, no, I know. Listen, it's the first time someone get paid $24 million to turn double plays. I mean, if that's the case, we should have brought back Iglesias.
He's also a pretty good hitter as well.
And he's not pretty good. He's below league average. He's not pretty good.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 35.
He fouled a ball off of his foot.
So did Lindor.
That's why he stunk.
So did Lindor.
Yeah, and point is,
and Lindor still played well. He didn't say, "Oh, I'm bad now."
No, he did not. Lindor literally broke his toe. He was terrible for 2 months this year.
Yeah, and Semien was bad the whole year.
But
and he's
again,
older.
He hurt himself. He's getting old. Yeah, he's getting older, and he still runs better than Jeff McNeil.
That's fine, but McNeil's not getting paid to be a runner.
Younger, more athletic. Those are the pieces that this team needs.
He's getting paid double what Jeff was, yet Jeff had a better season than him.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. If you are so all about defense,
Semien had a down year on the plate. He's still a 3-win player. How?
Because of defense.
Yeah, which is important.
He won the Gold Glove. Oh,
which
great!
Sucked all year.
$24 million.
You can't
for
tell
a
me that the
defensive
defense
second
was
baseman
great on this team last year.
You told me you could find a second baseman anywhere, right? You said Walmart.
Yeah, I can.
So you pay $24 million for a Gold Glove second baseman? Well, you can get him at Walmart.
To complement one with Lindor, who is our biggest investment. Yes, to bring up the defense up the middle. Yeah, because this team stinks defensively.
And then we score 0 runs, also allow 0 runs. So just played a bunch of extra inning games with the no bullpen that they have, so they won't be able to win anything.
Frank, is it going to be opening day tomorrow?
He's their 3rd highest paid player now. He's here for a few years. This is part of our core. Semien is now in the core.
Your point?
He stinks. What I'm saying is, because you're telling me... No. What you're telling me is, oh, don't bring back Alonso. Let Stearns bring his guys. Look at who Stearns has brought in. They all suck. Like, he has
You
not
mean a
shown me
proven
that.
winner like Marcus Semien, who's good up the middle
Proven winner what?
and makes the
Win
team more
what?
athletic?
Win what?
The guy
What's
who
he
won a
won?
World Series with the
Corey
Texas
Seager
Rangers?
won a World Series, not Semien. It's not
Marcus
a one-man
Semien
sport.
Marcus Semien was seen as the captain in that clubhouse.
Oh, well, yeah, but then
And
they
I
traded his
wonder
ass.
what we got reports about. I wonder what we got
If he was
reports
their
about.
leader and their captain, why would they trade him? Why would they trade their leader?
Probably to get
'Cause he
rid of his
stinks.
contract.
Because he stinks. If he's
Because
so
they
good,
want
why
to
don't they
get
keep
rid of
him?
his contract. Then why would they trade for a worse contract than Brandon Nimmo?
Because Nimmo's a better player.
Oh my God. Brandon
Get good
Nimmo.
players.
Oh my God.
He's not
Brandon
old as
Nimmo
him.
isn't going to provide to help this team. He was on a trajectory to be a DH. You want more DHs?
No, they got enough of those.
No.
I mean,
Exactly.
Nimmo's in left field, so they still need
Andrew,
both.
you
They
are
need a left
just
fielder
watching.
and a DH.
We've already it. Make a deep team. Make a good team. How about that? Stop with the shit of stop with the player. Okay, enough with let's give this player and this gets this player. Pete Alonso does not deserve the top 1% money. He doesn't, and he got it from the Orioles. Good for him. Move on. The defense on this team was garbage. It was one of the reasons why they missed the playoffs. And then you also have an inconsistent offense. Yeah, let Stearns bring in his guys, and then we can judge it. Because now, let's see, we have all the Sandy guys gone. We have all the Brody guys gone, because Diaz just left. You have, let's see, all the Billy Epler guys are gone if Marte leaves. That just leaves one left. You know who's left, Frank, right? You know who's coming next.
Going to San Diego.
Who?
One guy left from that 2019 team that everyone said was glorious, but still missed the playoffs because all this team does is choke. Frank, you were questioning the leadership all year. Marcus Semien
Correct.
is a clubhouse leader. That's
But
all he's been known to be.
But shouldn't it be the guys who are getting paid the most? Shouldn't it be them?
I guess
They're
it should
supposed
be,
to
right?
lead the team.
I guess it should be, but that's not the situation we're in right now. So unless you want to find mock trades for Francisco Lindor and Juan Soto to get them out of here,
I liked Andrew's idea of Jackson Merrill. That sounded pretty good.
that could happen.
Yeah.
see.
That's more like
again,
it. Get younger.
Let's make deals. Let's make trades. How about that? And then let's also, I don't know, develop young talent. That would be cool. Something that the Dodgers did well before they became in that big market. The only thing that delayed this inevitable from happening of Pete Alonso leaving was that 2024 run. Because again, we saw exactly how they treated Pete Alonso's free agent market. And with that qualifying offer attached to him, he was obviously, draft pick compensation, of course. So, and they get that for Diaz, by the way. So, advantage us, right? Either way, Andrew, there is, again, we knew this was going to happen. It was expected to happen. And yet we're all sitting here in a panic, like Stearns is, Saddam Hussein here, when the Mets are the ones who made this bed. The players made the bed. They don't win. They just don't win. So we're going to pay Pete Alonso more for them to just not win again? They're mediocre with him, and they're mediocre without him. What's the difference?
I just laughed while you guys were screaming. Again, and this was maybe Heyman being Heyman, but I do find it funny that, I think it came out yesterday, that Semien and Seager, I guess, there was a mutiny in the Rangers locker room too. I think Heyman put this out yesterday, where it was Simeon or Seager. So is that kind of funny? But besides the point, I guess my main thing is look at the Dodgers are like, again, everyone wants to call them the cream of the crop. Let's go back to when this ownership group had bought the team 2010. How many different cores did they go through? Like, and this actually, again, I know for some people we got a younger audience, so maybe they were born back then, but they went through multiple cores to create the absolute behemoth that we are now. They had the original Matt Kemp and Andre Ethier core. Then it shifted to Adrian Gonzalez, Yasiel Puig. Then it was Jess Mookie. And now you have the generation of pain in the ass that is now. The other thing is what we talked about on the show. Name a bad contract the Los Angeles Dodgers have given out. And we said it when it comes to free agency. This is what everybody gets pissed off about. Every year, who do the Dodgers sign? The best two free agents. They don't shop in B tier unless it's a Teoscar Hernandez. It was a rare Teoscar Hernandez. I think it's like the one time where they've shopped in a B tier, but that was originally a 1-year prove it deal. Then became, had the Worlds to play at the playoff run, got himself into a deep contract. Now they're trying to trade him because that's what the Dodgers. They don't shop in the B tier for good players. Again, Pete Alonso is a good player. Pete Alonso had 50 homers next year. Would we all be shocked in that small ballpark? No. Is he going to play? He's probably going to be productive. David Stearns just wants a different look. The guy we're going to talk about is a different looking first baseman. Is he as good as Pete Alonso? Or as an overall ball player, he's better. But Pete Alonso's a better hitter. Stearns wants traits. He wants more versatile players. And I get it. Everyone loves Pete Alonso. It's everybody's fan favorite. We get it. He's a good player. He's going to put up godly numbers. But if he's not providing anything defensively, he's not providing anything on the base pass, David Stearns does not like one-trait players. That's just the common thing. He wants multiple traits. He wants to get more athletic. You're not paying a 31-year-old going into he's
not going to commit to one-trait players either. I mean, and that's what Pete Alonso is. Let's be real for a second.
Yeah, how many does Soto have?
What do you mean? How many does Soto have?
He stole 40 bases this year, Frank. Pete Alonso stole 40 bases in 4 years. Don't disrespect base running.
Exactly. He was near 40-40. He was near 40-40. And not to mention, we don't need to talk about Soto as an old man into his 30s because he's not 30 yet.
He plays like an old man in his 30s, though. He can't move.
Wow, an old man in his 30s goes near 40-40?
He can't move. And he doesn't have his first base coach anymore. He's done.
If he can't move, then why did he steal all of those bases? Exactly.
Because the first base coach. Everyone stole bases.
He's still faster than McNeil. Exactly.
Okay, that's not saying much, though. McNeil's not going to pay $50 million.
It doesn't say much at all. I just wanted to take a jab at you for no reason.
You have to quadruple the amount.
Again, we don't know what they're going to back it up with, but what I know is that what they have locked down right now in Lindor and Soto, those are the types of transcendent players that you want leading your team, and those are the types of, full on, I feel like even if Stearns was in that position to trade for somebody like Francisco Lindor, he would do it if he had the resources to do it in Milwaukee. Like, that is the player that he would have. These guys are in the prime of their career. And again, with Juan Soto, that's kind of extends the timeline. Like I said, he's in the prime of his career. But again, like we already said, before the offseason even started, conversations that are going to make fans uncomfortable. What is happening right now? Everyone is uncomfortable. Why? Because of what they're seeing right now. Well, this team should have succeeded then. How about that? Win then. You made your bed. This is what happens when you lose baseball games with a top 1% payroll every single year. They have 2 playoff wins. And the only reason why they have those 2 playoff wins is because this leadership group that everybody wants to pay insane sums, this leadership group couldn't do anything, and they needed a 36-year-old Latin pop singer to save the season. This core doesn't do anything. They haven't done anything. They don't win. You're going to tell me right now that signing Pete Alonso helps them go right back into it? No. Because if they sign Pete Alonso, they're going to be like, oh, well, what else are these other holes to fill? Oh, wait, we don't have any more space to do that. We don't have any more depth to do that. Because we have to. Let's make a deep team. How about that? Let's go into saying, okay, Pete Alonso is gone. Stop trying to replace him. Because you're not going to find 40 home runs, 120 RBIs. We know we're not going to. I hate to say the whole Moneyball scheme, but, let's recreate 40 home runs. Let's recreate 120 RBIs with 2 players, 3 players, something like that. That's what they should try to do. Not to mention what Andrew just said. One-trait players. Pete Alonso. Again, whether you're talking about the lack of leadership in the clubhouse or whether you're talking about all this, I'm not blaming Pete Alonso, but I'm not going to say that, he didn't contribute to the shortcomings of this team. We already know how terrible his arm is there at first base. So again, one-trait players. You need all-around ball players to help you win ball games, for you to be consistent, to use all tools. Not to mention with the shift going away.
Do you know?
What?
How many 5-tool first basemen do you know?
I don't need a 5-tool first baseman.
Well, that's what you do, because that's why
I need a first baseman that doesn't airmail throws. I need a first baseman that doesn't airmail throws over the pitcher's head and over the catcher's head. Because as good of a defensive catcher as your guy Francisco Alvarez is, he's not going to be jumping 700 feet in the air because Pete Alonso can't make a goddamn throw. And I know everybody says, well, defense is not great, not so, a big of a factor at first base, and it's a power position. Yes, but in the Mets context as of right here, let's be real for a second. If Pete Alonso makes a certain throw, they win that game, that hypothetical game. And we've seen so many times his costly throws costing us games. Didn't we miss the playoffs by 1 game?
Yeah, how many games did he build them out with his bat that none of those guys came through?
But it still wasn't good enough.
And not because of him, though. What about all the times that all these other guys that we talk about the bottom half of the order didn't come through? I mean, what about all the pitchers that didn't come through? That Stern signed.
A Pete-led team. A Pete-led team, right?
A Pete-led team. No, Soto and Lindor, again, are the leaders of this team. They're the guys who are supposed to be getting the job done more. Pete Alonso was better than Francisco Lindor this year offensively.
So why do you want to pay Pete Alonso like he's the leader and the top guy?
Because he was the second best hitter on this team last year. And the best with men on base on the whole team.
And they went nowhere?
And not because of him, because of the other positions, because they have no pitching. Pete Alonso doesn't pitch. The guys that, again,
but if they
think of who Stern's paying in the offseason. He's paying Frankie Montas to sit home because he's not good and got hurt. Sean Manaea is your 4th highest paid player. You want to get rid of him. Kodai Senga, your 5th highest paid player. You want to get rid of him too. They have no pitching. It has nothing to do with Pete.
Frank, if they have no pitching, what about the year in 2021 when they had pitching? Or the year in 2022 when they had pitching?
Different team.
Or the year in 2020?
It's never
but that's what we're talking about with this core.
But it's never a one-man sport.
They've been given every opportunity to win.
I'm not talking about the core. I'm talking about Pete specifically. Well,
Pete Alonso is the collateral damage here because he's the only guy that's the only guy that's flexible to leave. You got it. They don't win. They don't win because of the shortcomings on this team. You think the Dodgers are the team? Oh, they just have big hitters. No, they have athletes too. They have tools too. They have good pitching too. They have a good they didn't, I mean, to be honest, they didn't really have that great of a bullpen, but they had star power in that bullpen. They have a deep team. To be honest, that Dodgers team in the playoffs, if you want to compare yourself to the Dodgers, that team literally Betts, Ohtani, and Freeman barely even had to do anything. And they still won.
Yeah, because you paid how much to your pitching? Look how much you paid all these guys to pitch. Yamamoto. How about that? The Mets have an over
Were the
$300
Mets
million
was
pitcher
Stearns
carrying
not
them?
in the market for Yamamoto?
They didn't get him. They don't have him. That's what I'm saying.
He wanted to go to the Dodgers because they're a better team.
They make the postseason, though. They have all these guys. The Mets do not have. They didn't bring in Mookie. They don't have Teoscar. They don't have
how did they do
Ohtani.
that?
I mean, how much?
How did they do that?
By
They built an
paying
infrastructure.
them.
They built an infrastructure.
Deferrals. Look at the 2036
They
payroll.
developed a farm system. They developed an actual culture around that entire franchise. Andrew Freeman's been there longer than you think he has. And you know who Andrew Freeman was with before? This is the funny part. The low market Rays. Don't we have a GM or president of baseball operations that was on a small market as well? Do we understand how these are lining up? The Mets are nowhere near the Dodgers, and they're never going to be for the next 7-8 years. Again, Steve Cohen's the richest owner in baseball. You can tell me, well, he's the richest owner in baseball. Why can't we pay Pete Alonso? Okay, well, what has Steve Cohen's money gotten you in these 5 years? What exactly has it got you? 0 pennants, 0 titles, nothing. Nothing. 1 winning season, maybe 2 winning seasons, one successful season that had to be uplifted by a guy on a minor league contract who's 36 years old and was out of the league. That's how pathetic this core is. That this team, whether you say they're good leaders or not, or they say, well, put a camera in front of them, oh yeah, they're great leaders, they're great teammates, I love them. It didn't help. So what did they do? They brought in Marcus Semien, known as a clubhouse captain, a veteran, a winner. Do we see how this is all connecting here? I understand it's not connecting because Pete Alonso's gone and the world's on fire. But again, build a team. How about that? Build a team. Let's do that. And I will have plenty of comments of what I like and what I dislike of the players that they end up bringing in. Even though, to some Mets fans, the offseason is done and opening day is tomorrow. But, again, they're nowhere near the Dodgers. They're not going to be the Dodgers this year. So why don't we stay in our lane here? Our lane. Because it took the Dodgers, 10 years to build this infrastructure to where they can have Betts, and they can have Ohtani, and they can have Freddie Freeman. And they can have Yamamoto and Sasaki and every single player on the planet. You know why we have Juan Soto, right? Because the Dodgers didn't even make a high bidding. That's the only reason why. Because we can all agree that Juan Soto was an overpay. He was highly overpaid. I'm easy saying, how about the collapse at the end of 2022? How about the collapse in 2023 where they had all of these veterans that they brought in that were supposed to bring the pitching so well? No, I am talking about it, but it's the core.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about David Stern's regime. Who has David Stern's brought in that's actually good? That is what I'm talking about. You're putting all this faith in this guy. What has he provided?
I'm not saying I'm putting faith in the guy. I'm letting him
do
his job.
You are, though. You're saying, oh, no,
I'm just letting him do his job.
Stearns knows who to pick.
I'm just letting him do his job. That's literally it.
And how's he doing? Tell me how he's doing. How's he doing?
Well, he let Pete Alonso walk, and everything's a disaster.
I'm not talking about Pete. I'm talking about everyone else. How's he doing?
I mean, he got you to the National League Championship Series 2 years ago, right?
The next year.
Yeah.
He also did
I wonder why.
Yeah, why? Because the team he built?
What do you mean the team he built?
The team he built. I didn't stutter. The team he built.
What do you mean? The team.
What I mean his bad offseason, his bad trade deadline, his bad offseason, his bad trade deadline. That's exactly what I mean.
Or what about, I don't know, when it all came down to it, with the team built around an offense, they put up a goose egg in Miami?
Okay, and what did he do to address the offense? We knew the offense sucked. What did he do? He didn't address
the offense. They got you Juan Soto.
Yeah, and what did he do?
They got you Juan Soto.
Walked.
What else did you do?
It didn't work. Yeah.
No, actually, Pete walked to Baltimore. Andrew?
Let's just end the segment, and then we can go talk about maybe replacing him. Thank God this is the last time we will ever talk about Pete Alonso, unless we're playing the Baltimore Orioles. So let's talk about Wilson Contreras, guys, and let's try to get happy because, goddamn, that was entertaining.
I mean, it's just like, I don't know how many times you can just look at the message that's being sent and be like, oh, yeah, I don't understand this. We already said we're going to have these discussions, and that was going to include Pete Alonso. That was going to include Pete Alonso, and it's also going to include Jeff McNeil, too. Like, I don't know. We're talking about uncomfortable conversations here. Conversations that's going to make this fan base talk uncomfortable. What did you think? Like, what did anybody think we were going to talk about? The things that were flexible. Senga, McNeil, Pete Alonso, gone. David Stearns told you exactly that I don't care if they are fan favorites. They don't win. They never win. Ever. Please tell me what they have won. Tell me. Are we going to just keep doing the same song and dance every single year? Oh, Pete. Oh, we got Pete. And we got McNeil. And we got all these guys here. You know, potential. And our homegrown guys. Your homegrown guys stink. They don't win. They're losers. And I'm not blaming Pete in general. I'm talking about the team as a whole. They don't win. So are you just going to bring him back and be mediocre again with him? With also as well a top 1% payroll? We're going to just keep doing this over and over and over again? Or you can let the Orioles sign him. The Orioles enjoy him. He can be the leader on that team, the veteran on that team with that young core as that Orioles team gets even wider. But again, we already knew that this was a possibility. And we all knew that they weren't going to make an offer that was more than 3 years because we saw reports about it. And I'm not going to sit here and say they overplayed their hand because they don't win with these guys as the frontline pieces. They don't. Exactly. The same argument with DeGrom. And listen, I'm not blaming Pete in general, but he doesn't fit that mold of a player that wins baseball games. He doesn't. That wins a World Series. And you're telling me you need to give $31 million to just keep the fans happy to him a year, which I'm not doing. $31 million a year. We're really going to do that? I mean, Frank, are you telling me that you would match that offer from the Orioles?
Who else is going to hit?
What do you mean who else is going to hit? But what I'm saying is, just because he's the only guy that's going to hit, or you're like, oh, well, he's the only guy that's going to hit, doesn't mean that you need to full on pursue him no matter what. Because that's not the Dodgers. That's not what the Dodgers do. Andrew, I'll ask you the same question I asked you on our stream when Pete Alonso signed. Would the Dodgers sign a player like Pete Alonso? Everyone wants to be about the Dodgers when everybody wants to be the Dodgers until they have to think like the Dodgers.
Again, the only time they've done that is Teo. Like of this current, again, this behemoth that they
it wasn't 5 years.
The only time they've done there was an original 1 year deal that became a multi-year deal. Like that's the only time, because look at it again. Ohtani, 1%. Freddie, 1%. Will Smith's drafted, developed, signed. They trade for Tommy Edman. Mookie traded. Ohtani, Jesus, And then the outfit. They saw when they go to they dip their toe in that C&D range as Michael Conforto, and he sucked. That's what they don't shop in this tier. They only go juggernauts.
But we need to keep the homegrown guys, right? Yep, the homegrown guys.
I never said Conforto.
Oh, my goodness.
Again, it's what they do. They say, and again, they signed Edwin Diaz. Who are the two names now they're linked to? Kyle Tucker, Tarek Skubal. Superstars. Well, Kyle Tucker can be, if you want to fight, debate, whatever. The best free agent on the market, and then obviously, the two-time back-to-back Cy Young. That's who they target. They're not the Mets targeting Luis Robert and Wilson Contreras, but again, we're not there yet. There's paths to this, but that's what they are now. They are only, who are the best players in baseball?
Don't jump the gun. Exactly. They've tried to jump the gun already. Let's bring out Scherzer. Let's get Verlander. Let's get this guy. Let's get this guy. All these veterans. Oh, they've won. They're going to win for us. Nothing. Because if everybody wants to complain about the pitching in 2025, how about this core? This $400 million team, as a team. They had pitching in 2021, still couldn't win. 2022, still couldn't win. 2023, they rebuilt the rotation. They spent a lot on pitching. That blew up in their face. 2024, there was a surprise for this rotation, even with Kodai Senga not healthy. Still couldn't win. So you can't tell me, they had no pitching. They had pitching. They weren't putting any of it together. Do we just want to continue this non-consistent train? Because that's going to get you farther away from the Dodgers. Getting Alonso, exactly, as Dwayne's saying here, getting Alonso gets us nowhere close to the Dodgers. Because we already had Alonso. What are we with him? What are we with Alonso? Frank, tell me, where are we? Not in the playoffs.
Do you remember the Mets played the Dodgers a couple years ago in the playoffs? Were the Mets not giving up 10 runs a game? Did that not happen? Am I imagining things?
And why was that?
The pitching that you're talking about, that we had all this pitching. They were getting up 10 runs a game to the Dodgers. They didn't have pitching.
Okay, so they should have just went to the playoffs with Jacob deGrom in his prime then. But they didn't, because they're not good.
No, you're taking it out of context.
Always.
You need a team. You need a team.
Yeah, we do need a team. And paying Pete Alonso $31 million, it's just going to make you a top-heavy team. It's just going to be 3 players.
They got more.
So which one is it? Do you need a team or you need to pay Pete Alonso?
You need both.
Okay. If you need Pete Alonso, what have they done with him? Lose.
Well, let's see what they do without him, because, this is going to be the solution. I can't wait, because Stern's doing a great job. So keep it up.
All right. Well, again, we can full-on critique this team as it is right now. We can do it until we're red in the face. If opening day was tomorrow, which it's not, and they'll figure out what they need to do. Because they need to trade pieces. They need to offload pieces. We're going to start to have different discussions if they don't. And you know that I will 100% critique it. But you can't tell me that losing Pete Alonso is the straw that is breaking the camel's back right now. Because what are they with him? Not in the playoffs. They stink with him. They stink with all, and I can make this argument for all these guys. I'm not even blaming Pete Alonso. All these guys they let go, they stink with them. So why would you want to just continue to be in the middle? Be less than middle and then rebuild it to get over that hump. with Pete Alonso, barely over 500. They have a Buck Showalter record with Pete Alonso. I don't know. Again, let's close this out with Pete Alonso's goodbye that he posted on Instagram yesterday, saying, New York, thank you. These last few years have shaped me in ways I'll carry for the rest of my life. This city demands your best, and I'm proud to look back knowing I gave everything I had into earning the privilege of wearing that jersey. I've been blessed with incredible teammates, coaches, trainers, staff, and countless people who helped shape me into the player and man I am today. I'm forever grateful for every person who challenged me, supported me, and believed in me along the way. Thank you for the passion. Thank you for the love, even the tough love that comes with playing in New York. When it came time for first pitch, thank you for being electric through it all. Thank you for getting rowdy every time I stepped up to the plate and made the building shake when a ball found a seat over the wall. Your energy fueled me more than you'll ever know. You believed in me and you made me better. With love, Polar Bear. And he did not say LFGM. So is he really loyal, Andrew? Is he really loyal? He didn't say LFGM.
Well, now he's got to say LFGO. That kind of sounds funny, LFGO. Again, goodbye. We will never talk about him again unless we are playing the Baltimore Orioles, which we do in September. So the name Alonso is banned like Vogelfat and Drew Smith. Unless we are playing the Orioles, this name shall never be said again.
Whose name? Wilson Contreras, because that's who we're about to talk about. Anyways, let's get into where they pivot from here. Because obviously, this is a big black hole of nothingness that the Mets are in, but that's actually not true. Let's try and build a team here. Let's try to make some moves, because the offseason is not over. We saw some discussions towards the end of the winter meetings about 24 hours ago, that the Mets were in talks with the Cardinals, exchanging some names as well about Wilson Contreras. Now, as for this report, it came from John Denton of MLB.com, who is a beat writer, so basically they're Anthony DiComo from MLB.com. As for Wilson Contreras, if you're talking about the first base position, he started playing first base in 2020 this season after being banged up. There was also some stuff about him with pitchers. There wasn't the best communication, so they just thought move him over to first base. And he had a pretty good offensive year. 124 weighted runs created plus, 20 home runs, 80 RBIs, 52 extra base hits. He slashed 257, 344, 447. He is going into a 34-year-old season. He is going to be owed $35 million through the 2027 season, 17.5 mil for each of those years, and he also has a club option for the 2028 season. Obviously, his biggest specialty is his numbers against left-handed pitching, which he has destroyed throughout his entire career. He has a 135 career weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitching, and then also in 2025, he had a 142 weighted runs created plus against left-handed pitching from that certain platoon. He hits the ball hard, gives you great quality of contact. He is I believe, among catchers, he is one of the top guys in barrel rate and also barrel rate per plate appearance, not just batted ball data. A little bit of swing and miss there, but again, does hit the ball hard. Gets on base at a decent clip. Good with runners in scoring position as well. Hits the ball hard, like we said. Unrestricted free agent in 2029. Club option 2028. Now, you look at this and you see 20 homers, 80 RBIs. Like we said, that mold of Pete Alonso. That doesn't fill the void of first base. But you have other holes on this team. So, filling in first base, not replacing Pete Alonso. Pete Alonso doesn't exist anymore. He's a Baltimore Oriole. He's in Baltimore, okay? He's wearing orange, okay? He is an orange bird now. He was a polar bear, now he's an orange bird. Wilson Contreras as a first base option. Andrew, I'm going to go to you first. I know that you are very familiar with St. Louis because you are near that team. It seems like, offensively and defensively for Contreras, who was one of the best defensive first basemen, it seems like he adjusted to that position fairly well in 2025. What are your thoughts on the possibility of bringing in Wilson Contreras to play first base, especially with a team that just lost a right-handed bat?
Yeah, again, this was a guy that I was talking about before, the man who should not be named was signed. And I brought it up, and him and Yandy Diaz are clear, potential target. And then we hear again down here in the Missouri, the Cardinals are even willing to take on money. And we saw it do it first with Sonny Gray to get better prospect capital. So you are, he's due the 2 years, 30. He's got the $5 million buyout for the club option. So you have to pay him the $5 million buyout. But they're willing to eat more money. This has been the difference since Chaim Bloom has come apart, is now ownership is willing to eat money, which never, ever happened for Mozeliak. So now there's a world where you can get Wilson Contreras at an AAV under $14 million if possible, depending on how much you want to eat. Obviously, it brings up the prospect capital you have to give up. And there's talks of bundling. We've seen them be interested in Lars Nootbaar, who's just Brandon Nimmo, but like 20 younger version of Brandon Nimmo, just not as good. I don't want nothing to do with Lars. Let him go to Tampa Bay. That's the other team. Let him have it. Jojo Romero was also brought up, but again, do you want another left-handed reliever and just have 3 good lefties? I mean, again, the Braves did it to the Mets, having all them lefties. It's a good opportunity to maybe have a decent split and having multiple good lefties, but it fits what David Stearns want. Again, like you said, he graded as one of the best defensive first basemen. So there's a tool there. Again, he's clutch, runs a scoring position. Again, if you need it, I don't think he needs to be back behind the plate. He's strictly a first baseman now. But in a case of emergency, especially with this team, we've seen emergencies happen. You have a third catcher potentially on the roster if you need it. But again, he's strictly just a first baseman. And what has been the kind of thing that we've talked about, and we make the jokes about the Orioles being very boring and of a certain color. This dude's fired, and you need some of this in the locker room. Like, this is the type of dude who doesn't take any shit. This is a competitor fire that this team needs. And again, if you're willing, the Cardinals are willing to lower the price. And again, it's crazy that we're having this conversation, but it's the world we live in. If you can have the Cardinals eat some more money, that gives you more money to go out and continue to address other holes. If you let's say you're getting him for $10 million this year and then call it $14 million next year, you're getting for $24 million, you're getting a above, 25% better than average hitter, a Gold Glove caliber defensive first baseman. That is kind of the perfect fit for what Stearns wants to play, and a good player. And again, a leader, a former catcher, again, and was a guy who's been linked to going to the Mets, it seems like his whole career before signing the contract with St. Louis. So it kind of would be fulfilling the story of bringing finally Wilson Contreras to the New York Mets. Again, it's a very interesting option. It's one of many options that he can go with. And again, he can potentially bundle with Jojo Romero, or if you want Lars Nootbaar, or if you, for some reason, want Nolan Gorman. I mean, if you want to get insane, Brendan Donovan, like there are multiple pieces of Cardinals. If you're making money on the St. Louis Cardinals, you're available. So if you need multiple holes, the Cardinals are a type of team you want to go to because they're willing to trade anyone who's not making league men. So that's a team that if you want to fill multiple holes, there's an opportunity. I'm not saying it's a great possibility, but again, when I'm talking about Wilson Contreras being their probably best trade chip, he fits the Mets perfectly. He can be a guy in the top half of the lineup, and it's not replacing the power of the previous guy, but again, you're getting a more better overall hitter. It's for higher batting average. It's not going to hit the power, clutch, fear. It's a lot of things that David Stearns wants. It's multiple tools. Again, am I giving up a super prospect? They want pitching. You're not getting the big three, but I think you're in the Santucci, Wenninger, especially if they're eating money. That's what they want. They want young, controllable pitching. They don't want infielders. They got a million of them. So you're not throwing a Beatty, a Mauricio in this trade. They don't want them. They want young, controllable pitching or prospects, preferably. They did it with the Sonny Gray trade, so they're going to want probably in that Santucci, Wettinger, Will Watson, Thornton group. They're going to probably want one of those guys, especially if they're eating the money. So again, and it's a stopgap. Again, if Ryan Clifford is here, and again, we're playing prospects. I get it. It's prospects. That's understandable. But again, this is kind of what Stearns wants. It's a perfect 2-year stopgap. If he's productive, you pick up the club option. You have a 3rd year of him, but at least it gives you a major league hitter and a productive major league hitter who's a better defender at first base that can give time for Ryan Clifford, if he's still here, to develop, if that is the long-term plan, to hand the first base job to Ryan.
I mean, Frank, I don't know if you were here for this, but we actually we discussed another trade option for first base in Yandy Diaz. That was another one that we discussed, which would be higher on my list than somebody like Wilson Contreras, obviously. I think that with, obviously, the polar bear out of the discussion, out of the equation in Baltimore, it kind of brings Mark Vientos into the equation. And when we're talking about the run prevention aspect of this team, it's in their best interest to take Mark Vientos off the field and put in a first baseman, if that makes full-on sense there. Wilson Contreras is on the older side. He is. But he's kind of extending his career a little bit and playing really good defense at first base. Not a catcher anymore. And also, one more thing, your guy Francisco Alvarez, these guys are both from Venezuela, right? These are both, yeah. So, maybe there's a connection there. But again, and also he's been a catcher. So he's been a catcher before. Let's say it that way so I don't get canceled. Frank, I'll go to you, obviously. This would fit what the Mets need. It's not Alonso, but it fills in first base to a T.
He plays first base. He's going to be 34. Again, like I said, based off the team you already have, because we're talking about the Mets, you just add a guy who's 35 on the right side and 34. I know they're good defenders, but it's like we talk again when we're trying to talk about long-term winning. If that's the goal, consistent playoffs, can we not stay in this mid to upper 30s range? I mean, is that something we could do? Even Yandy's gonna be 35 too. Yeah. And sure. I mean, the other guy we talk about Goldschmidt's 38. Like, can we get younger?
I think it's about the bridge to the kids. I really do.
And you know what? But the thing is that, like, and we've talked about this too, but if you're doing that, you're banking on these young guys who have regressed and declined. Whether it's nationally or internally, it just feels like these guys are always trending downwards in their rankings, especially on the offensive side. Not so much the pitching, but the offense, a lot of these guys, it's like, we were talking, Drew Gilbert's going to be the future. He stunk and they traded him. Now it's like we're banking on Clifford to be the first base of the future. And if Clifford doesn't have the goods, man, we're in really bad spot because we signed a bunch of old first basemen. So like you have nothing to like save yourself. That's kind of what you're stuck with. And like I said, now what are you gonna do with Jet because you had to put Semien in there? And it's like, you have to pay the amount of money for the contract. It's not bad, but if I give up Santucci, I don't want to do that. I really don't. I don't think that a 34-year-old first baseman is worth even the potential of up-and-coming young left-handed pitcher. They're too valuable to me. Way too valuable. I wouldn't do that. And then, did you see the report? I forget who it was. They were like, oh, the Mets are not going to be giving up Tong or Sproat or anyone for Contreras.
That was Rosenthal. I was going to.
Yeah, it's like if that's even remotely being considered, you hang up the phone. I
thought we were giving up Juan Soto in this deal, man. Thank God. Phew.
No, but but I'm listening to, like, with a trade, it's like, like Andrew said, hopefully it doesn't cost much, but you really have to. You got to be, like, very careful with this. It's not something you should be jumping on and giving up a bunch of young pieces for, especially when we're talking about, like, wanting to get younger and needing your young pieces to actually build that long-term success. You already have a high payroll. You need to get better from within. I don't know if, trading young pieces and getting a 34-year-old is the best way to do it. He's a solid player. I mean, don't get me wrong. He'll add to the depth, make it a little deeper. But as we know, there's still more, but I can't say it's something that I'm like jumping for joy.
No, you're obviously not going to jump for joy. But again, it's more of the fact that they need veterans They need leadership there too. They need a right-handed bat. Again, I think it's a really good fit for this team where it's going right now because of the profile that it's fitting right now. Because his defense at first base, and even though his defense at first base, you don't have to worry about a Pete Alonso noodle arm here. This guy was a catcher. Right, so he can make these types of throws, and I know that his defense at behind the plate regressed a lot going into his 30s, but it's a little bit of a different angle from first base. And when you're seeing how he played first base, a +6 OAA, still has the arm strength, which is in the 76th percentile. He also has some average sprint speed. Like he can move a little bit still, even at age 34.
Well, they played him in left field a little bit too with the Cardinals,
they
right?
did,
right, Andrew?
yeah,
As,
because
like,
of
he was
his
moving
arm.
off catcher, and with the Cubs even.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of the first year of that deal they had in the outfield, and now it's been
because he had that
since
big injury
Goldschmidt left.
too.
Now he's He had the
He
injury,
had
and
also
then once
with the
Goldschmidt
arm
left-
injury. It was against the Mets, right? With JD Martinez. Then Contreras had gotten hurt, so he has that versatility. Which again, they need that right now. This team, I mean, you need other options. If something does provide itself at first base, where if somehow Vientos was getting reps there, you need Contreras start a game or two in left field. I mean, they need to have more options available to them.
Yeah.
So. They do have that aspect. And listen, we've seen a bunch of catchers go down in the same season. So if you need it for a game, you need it for a few games, you need to have other things available to you. So from that regard, I like that part of it because in general, like if you are going to be starting over, you need more guys with positional versatility because they don't have that, especially if the one guy that has it, they want to get rid of him too. They're going to need some more.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what that move looks like. I think that if you do close in this whole infield with Contreras, I do think that, again, like I said, Mark Vientos, I think, is pretty much slid into DH and they don't end up moving him. But again, I don't know how I end up feeling about that. It's more of just what do you do in the pitching staff is probably more of just what we say in that situation. There's a lot of holes to fill, like we saw with that report with Mike Puma. Like he said, they know that they have a big checklist. So does that include multiple trades and multiple signings? It could. I mean, the thing is that it basically flipped a 180 of the offseason plan. Obviously, like we talked about Pete Alonso, it was expected that he would likely leave with how they treated his free agency last year. But it kind of flipped it 180 because you went into the winter meetings. The Mets made the most moves out of anyone going into the winter meetings, getting Devin Williams and trading Nimmo for Simeon. Then the Mets don't make any moves, and then they lose two players as well. So it kind of flipped the 180 of this pivot move here of who is available and who do they want to acquire, which, again, guys like Santucci, those are like the middle of the pack pieces of like they have the back end starter or middle of the pack type of guys. With the Mets having the number one farm system, I would be okay with it. I try to avoid trading away pitching prospects because they are more valuable than any position player. But if it is for a need on this team, like we said, with Lindor and Soto in their prime, this is the type of guy that you would possibly add. But it can't be the only guy that you add. Again, like we said, you got to get multiple bats here with the bat that just left. So could that be a guy like Contreras? I would be okay with it. I would prefer to go with Yandy Diaz. That's just my preference. There's also Ryan O'Hearn available on the free agent market, and we'll see if they're connected to them. If there's any reports, we'll go more into him. But he's a left-handed bat as well. So I don't know if that's in their plan either, because they definitely need a right-handed bat in here. They got one with Simeon. Ow. Just smacked my elbow on the table there. But they still have a lot of lefties in this lineup, even with getting rid of Nimmo, too. So, again, I don't know what they're seeing as the fit. And like we said, there's so much uncertainty here. Like, what's going to happen? But, like I said, losing core. I'm okay trying something different and letting David Stearns have the reins on this team. But again, we're going to critique what's going on here, obviously. Andrew, I don't know if we already went over this, but obviously as you as the GM of the three of us, would you say, like, what would you say this would possibly take? A guy like Wilson Contreras.
And I brought it up before. It just depends on what St. Louis wants out of. Because again, there's a world where you just take the full contract on, you give up less. But they have been very motivated with the guys that they have, and Donovan doesn't make anything, so I'm not going to do it with Donovan and or Gorman or Newbark. Those guys are just hitting ARB1 or last year of their free deals. They want to eat money because they want better returns, because they know that this is their kind of last piece. Because when they trade Arenado, they're going to get nothing for him, so they understand that. So they are seeing this as kind of their last valuable piece. Brendan Donovan's their highest valuable piece, but of like proven MLB caliber, for money wise, they need to get something out of it. So it just depends on how aggressive they want to eat money, because there's a world where if they're eating a lot of money, you have to bring the prospect capital up. But again, could you take, a flyer on some back end guys if you're eating the whole contract? I mean, yeah, but I think Bill DeMont, the owner of the Cardinals, has been telling Chaim Bloom he wants to eat money because he wants to kind of fast track this rebuild with St. Louis. So they're going to want pitching. So again, it's going to have to be one of those guys. If it's not Santucci, again, Will Watson. That's again 11th ranked prospect. Like, it's going to be somebody in that 11 to that 20 range of pitching prospects. Like, that's probably what's going to cost, because they want it. I mean, they're going to, like you said, they probably want Santucci. Then, of course, again, Rosenthal. They love Jonah Tone. They love Brandon Sproat. They love Christian Scott. The Mets aren't giving up those guys. But again, in that next group, they're going to want one of those guys in the next group, because they just want that young pitching. We saw with the Gray trade, getting the two guys, one Richard Fitz in the big league, and then they get the lottery ticket lefty. That's what they want. They want kind of lottery tickets. So if there's guys in that 20 to 30 range of prospects pitching wise, they'll probably take one of those guys with the guy in that second tier of pitching prospect. That's what they want. Because again, I would be shocked if they want infielders, because they already have a bajillion, and they want to give JJ Weatherholt second base or shortstop if they trade Mason Wynn. So they don't want infielders. They really don't want outfielders, because they have 95 with Walker, and they got rid of Michael Ciano, who was claimed by the Braves the other day. Victor Scott was a Gold Glove nominee. So again, they have so many. They're like the Mets, kind of, where they have so many position players, but not enough players. Alec Burleson would be another guy that potentially be on the block. He had a really good offensive year, but he's similar to Pete Alonso, where he's just a bat. He cannot play defense. I mean, they've tried to stick him in left field and first base, and he's just a good bat. And he's left-handed, so again, it's not really what the Mets need. So again, from St. Louis's perspective, they just want pitching prospects. So it's going to be one of those guys in the mid-tier, and then maybe another lottery ticket guy in the back half, or maybe an international signing or late draft pick that we've had is probably what they want. Because again, this is kind of their one of their only two shots with Donovan to kind of replenish their farm system.
I mean, if we're talking about the pieces that we have and we're talking about need for need, the Mets will obviously either attach whatever it is they will have to attach. But again, you have $17.5 million with Wilson Contreras, and then you have $15 million with Kodai Senga. Then you add in a prospect there. Is that where you kind of build a trade? Because again, McNeil can't go in that. Again, infielder. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
They have been looking to add a veteran starter that they could flip at the deadline, but they're not in that saying. They were looking at guys like Tyler Mahle and that level of veteran. I mean, again,
so they're looking at the David Peterson type of guy, right? St. Louis, you want David Peterson, right? Right? Yep.
No, again, and maybe that is something that maybe they're interested in, but they are interested in adding a starter. But I don't think, again, they're trying to make their payroll under $50 million. That is their plan. They want to get their team payroll under $50 million because they are rebuilding. So I think, unless you're eating some money, I don't think they have interest in Senga or Peterson. They've been in the Tyler Malleys and again, maybe $5 to $10 million. Again, a waiver wire to that guy that they can flip at the deadline. So again, if you maybe eat some of the contract of Senga, maybe they're interested. You eat some Peterson, maybe that could be a 1-for-1. We've seen already 2 1-for-1 trades so far this offseason, and probably from reports we're going to see more guys of these kind of hockey trades. So there's a world where it isn't, but I think they want one. They're just trying to get as cheap as possible on the team salary wise to go into this rebuild, and then they'll see what they have. So again, they're going to probably just want strictly minor leaguers, but it is a thought because again, that's what kind of we've seen so far in this offseason. These kind of hockey trades 1-for-1. It makes sense if you equal the money and you had a prospect, maybe it is something there. But I just think they want, again, free players. They don't want to be taking on money. They are just trying to shed as much as possible.
I mean, Frank, if there's anything you want to add to that, I mean, we're just going to basically get into the other reports. We'll just like try to go as quick as we can of the other reports that we saw. I just have like a list of everything. McGill and Peralta, there was talks about that of the Mets obviously checking in. David Stearns obviously has a connection with both of those guys. With the Mets losing Edwin Diaz, McGill, like we said, can throw triple digits, not like his brother. Andrew, I'll go to you. McGill, Peralta, that whole situation. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, it's a phenomenal fit. I mean, I know people are going to know we've already seen, our group chats and I love it. Oh, started bringing in more Brewers. It's consistent top end. I wouldn't call Peralta a number one, but he's a great number two to pair with McClain, and you get another guy in the back end of the bullpen. It deepens your bullpen. We'll see what the price is. You're going to you might have to be as Brandon Sproat and then maybe one of the kids, and then you're adding prospects to it. Again, also both being rentals. We'll see. But again, the fact that they're making nothing, and we all know Milwaukee's trying to shed salary, but it's still going to cost you, again, a decent little package, especially for the bundle. Yeah. I mean, I love it. I'd love to see it. But again, we'll see is he still buddies with Matt Arnold? We'll see. I mean, it fits. It's a perfect fit to add that, top innings eater at the top of the lineup, so you don't have to put as much pressure on McClain, and then you get gas what you need in the back of the bullpen. I got to actually can hit 100 to be nice, and the better McGill. But again, do we really want to bring them both on the same team, even though one's not going to pitch? Maybe he just fills the shoes of his brother once he puts that Met jersey on.
Maybe they trade Tyler for Trevor. You never know, right? I don't know. I mean, he's being tendered a contract, right? He's ARB 2, so yeah, he's got 2 more years of control. So I don't know.
What? I thought he's done after this.
No, I think he's ARB 2. I'm pretty sure.
The ARB 2? Okay. Still stuck.
I don't know.
The graphic says ARB. Well, you're talking about
he's
the
not
Mets
gonna,
McGill or the Brewers McGill?
Yeah, what McGill are you talking about? McGill, Trevor?
The Mets McGill is an ARB 2. Yeah. Trevor McGill is an ARB 1, right? Correct?
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought he was younger.
Is he younger? I think he's older, but he came into the league later.
Yeah, that's less.
Or no, earlier? Possible. Okay,
I don't know.
Whatever. Frank, you've talked about Freddie Peralta before. You've talked about Freddie Peralta before, obviously.
Well, that's someone I love.
Reliever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love Freddie Peralta. That would get me really excited. He finished top 5 in the Cy Young this year. He has his best season of his career. It was an All-Star second time, 2.70 ERA. He's just entering his prime. He's a guy every single year, 30 or more starts. Again, there's not many guys that give that. I just think that, especially even his contract.
The other guy I can think of is on the market, Valdez, and he's going to be trying to get 5 or 6 years.
And Peralta's younger and not a jerk. So, I mean, you have that going for you as well. So I feel like Peralta's I've talked about for years now. I feel like how many years in a row have I said Peralta be a great trade target, but I already saw a report from a pretty high up reporter that the Mets are not even one of the suitors. Like there was 5 teams and the Mets were not one of them for Freddie. So it's it's unfortunate because they could.
We're hearing mixed. I think we're hearing mixed because we also saw something of another guy that I have here, Mackenzie Gore. We saw that from John Morosi, some other guys. That just seems like David Peterson. But whatever. Tyreek Skubal, obviously. We saw some stuff about Michael King as well. Michael King is an interesting
There's
one.
There's going to be a market for him.
There's going to be a market
guys,
for
especially
him.
with pitching. And we've seen a lot of reports that say the Mets are they're not comfortable, with a lot of stuff. Yeah. And that's where a lot of my frustration is too, is that you can't just get a bunch of middle of the pack guys for everything. You want good players, you got to spend something, you can't just get everything the way you want. It's not how free agency works, and it's not how New York works either. You can't just say, oh, well, you know what, this guy should get paid $13 million, so if I can't get him for 13, I'm not going to get him. You're not going to get anybody then. You're going to end up with a bunch of old, not great players, and that's kind of what we're seeing, a lot of the connections. So if you really want to get better, you got to spend to get better. You can't always get the market value you want, unless you do it internally and re-sign the guys when they're young. That's the way you get the value you want.
Which is what I want to see the Mets try and take advantage of if they see these young pieces that are going to be part of their future. But again, Michael King, there's injury concern there. I mean, you don't know. Like, there really is, and he's more banged up than Senga. I mean, he's had a lot of injury history. He was obviously a converted reliever from when he was with the Yankees. He came over in the Soto trade. We know that there's New York experience there. He's from the New York area, right? I think. Yes. Right, Shopping Peterson, that was another one. We already talked about Newt Barr and everything. Luis Robert. It seems like the Mets are not willing to take on that full $20 million, which is fine because, again, I'm okay taking on Robert, but it has to be on like they're covering most, like they're covering some of it, and we're covering a decent amount of like 11 million or something like that. I'm fine with, but if you're talking about the full on 20 million, it doesn't really make much sense. And then Pete Fairbanks, we've seen the Mets link to him. Frank, that's one of your guys.
I love
and then the Mets, the Mets offered a Schwarber. What was it? 3 years, 120 or something. More than Alonso. They offered him more than Alonso. Does that tell you a little bit more? What does that tell you? Stearns never wanted him. I don't know what to tell you. The clues were there. The clues were there. No to Luis Robert. Some people in the chat saying some other questions, and then we will get out of here. Dre saying, call the A's for Brent Rooker. I think they just extended him, but that's never stopped the A's before. Matt saying, I wanted Brendan Donovan, but Simeon here, that seems unlikely. Yeah, it's definitely unlikely. We saw them connected to Donovan before that Nimmo trade happened, so that probably was what they were looking in that realm of things, and they ended up with that. Ramon Laureano, Padres for left field. That's another one that could be considered because left field is open. It's a right-handed bat. And it gives you leeway to, if you want to see Benj get playing time at the major league level. I mean, I do think that the young guys are seen as the big component here, but again, it's all about, filling the lineup with, Nimmo and Pete Alonso both gone. So it helps. It's a right-handed bat. He was acquired by the Padres at the deadline, along with Ryan O'Hearn, who's also available. So I mean,
I don't know why San Diego would trade him though.
I don't know. They're looking to move almost anybody, right?
Well, they're trading Mason Miller. I mean, Preller's doing. Yeah, Preller does. He's going to trade everybody.
That's crazy. Trading Mason Miller is after what they gave up is like so crazy, but
they're trading Pavetta. They're listening on Miller. I mean, again, they want our shortstop.
Go.
Love a different.
They want how many shortstops? They have like 3 shorts. They have 4 shortstops. How many do they want? What do you mean they want a shortstop?
Apparently, they're going to offload they're going to offload the Xander contract on us. That's what we've been hearing from Padres fans. They've been
that
Bogarts for Lindor. That's what they're saying.
That one. Yeah.
That's what they're. That's not happening. Okay.
And then you're like, no, give me the center fielder, and then you can have a deal. There you go.
And the right fielder too. While we're at it.
Yeah, give us the right fielder.
I'm not trying to be greedy.
And then obviously the Starling Marte reunion. No thanks. I think we can all, unless Frank, you want to argue for it? I know that this is something.
I know. I don't.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, we've already talked about it already. It seems like Soto's the one that's advocating it.
I'm okay. Like, he can't be the DH. Not to
if he wants to be the first base coach, I've already said if he wants to be the first, that's fine. But it's like. Yeah. No, like if they do that, like that's what I mean. It's like there's uncertainty, but it's good uncertainty for me because I wanted to see it change.
Tweeting about the Rangers. What did the Rangers do?
What did the Rangers do? Did the Rangers do something?
Nothing.
Now
big.
Also this stuff about
there's Alexis Diaz. He went to Texas, and they also got Tyler.
But he loves the Dodgers. What the hell?
Yeah, I know, right?
He loves the Dodgers. That doesn't make any sense.
But one time he's like, exactly. Go back to my brother.
He only loves the Dodgers. Also, Danny Jansen signed with the Rangers 2 years, $14.5 million. Okay.
Look at the Rangers going on
Wow.
a shopping spree. David Stearns, wake up, boy. Got the
Look
Rangers
at the,
going on a
look
shopping
at
spree
the,
with
look
Brandon
at the
Nimmo.
Rangers. Look at CY. CY. Anyways, yeah, Preller did say that the Padres are not trading Tatis. That's more of just Mets fans. I think what's happening is Mets fans started to say that they were getting Tatis on social media, and then Padres
But
fans
wait,
started
wait,
clapping back and saying, hey,
but
we're
wait,
going to get
but wait.
Lindor.
I mean, the room. Steve Phillips did go on MLB radio saying he's hearing the same thing. So now it's not just
he did.
Padres fans.
Steve
did.
Phillips.
He did.
He did. So this is
Steve
So Mason
Phillips.
Miller and Jackson Merrill get ready to learn New York Mets. Lindor's gonna go be a fashionista in San Diego. Here you go.
And what
Boy,
voice
does
told
Steve
him
Miller.
that? Was it Jesus?
Maybe.
Was it Jesus? We're listening to
know,
Steve Phillips.
I didn't know it. Bro, and Nightingale tweeted out too. So you had Nightingale and Steve Phillips, two reliable
That was not
sources
Nightingale. That was not Nightingale. Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you. You gotta love it, bro.
Hey.
You gotta love rumors this time of year. It's more fun.
Yeah. I listen, I don't know. Andrew
Hey,
Vaughn.
He's old, bro. Get these old guys out. No, please, no.
Andrew Vaughn, I mean, he had a good breakout, right?
Yeah, once he
With
got
Milwaukee,
saved from
right?
the White Sox.
That's Brewers
Yeah.
devil magic. That's something. I'm not touching that. That's the Brewers devil magic right there.
The Brewers devil magic. Yeah, I mean, it is a right-handed bat. He is
Yeah.
he is like 5'10", so I don't know why
Yeah.
I don't know how you'd put that at first base, but and then the last thing we're going to say here. This whole crap about McNeil Goldschmidt platoon, if that happens, then you're going to see me beat up Stearns. Then you'll see me beat up
Then
Stearns.
Stearns, yeah.
Well, there you go.
That's when
Then
that will
Stearns
end up
is going
happening.
to Kmart. And we're seeing David Stearns at Kmart. You don't want that.
David Stearns is going to the center point of Kmart. Anyways,
Kmart.
and we're not going to finish that joke. Either way,
No, we will
a
not.
lot went on this week, but I advise Mets fans to take a deep breath, okay? Let's see what is in store first, and then we will react accordingly. Either way, if the Mets don't have a team that we are proud of, that we like by spring training, there's always the Knicks, right, Andrew? There's always the Knicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Always the
Andrew?
Nets. I mean, yeah. I mean, what a hell of a week. I mean, again, we start with, the Mets blowing up their core. Then the Penguins decide, you know what, let's trade a long-term stalwart of their franchise this morning. I mean, all my teams, Dante's coming back on the Knicks now. Giannis is coming too. God, every sports team is just absolutely in shambles. And you know what? It's the offseason. It's time to be dumb. It's time to have fun. And David Stearns has got a lot of work to do, and he knows that. There's no way he was this stupid to realize if he's going to blow this team up, he doesn't have. I mean, as long as he's not Ron Hextall and says he has a plan, but it's so big, it's in here, and you can't tell you because it's stuck in here. As long as we don't got that situation, we're going to be okay because he can't be worse than Ron Hextall or Joe Shane. It's just kind of fed. New York GMs just kind of suck. But again, we'll see. Again, we're not going to Kmart yet. We're not there yet. We got, March 31st. We're going to reinstall a Kmart. Toys R Us is back. I'll bring Kmart back. It's going to be all right.
Okay. Frank, last licks here for Ryan Helsley is gone. Mullins is gone.
Bye.
Rogers is gone, and so is Gregory Soto. All four of our deadline acquisitions are all gone on free agent market. So if they wanted to retain any of them, it's too late.
That's kind of what I'm trying to tell you. This guy who's bringing in people gave up young prospect capital. They want to keep him because they all stink. So stop doing that. Stop
I didn't see a
bringing in
single
guys
minor
who
league
stink.
piece that they gave up.
No,
that was significant.
Baez?
He's a blown
That's
Achilles.
it.
He hasn't been the same since that one. I'm not. He blew out his Achilles. It hasn't been the same since. So that's not his. That's more main. Oh, look, it's on the list. Baez tore his Achilles. It hasn't been the same since. So at that one, I'm not losing my sleep.
That's like the only thing of significance, and he was dropping too. Like the prospects, like we were saying, dropping, all dropping. But And even with that, still number one farm system in baseball. So
I'll see him this year. Frank, I'll give him a hug for you because I will see Jesus Baez next year. So,
Oh, good.
yeah. Anyways, Frank, you continue.
I don't know. Sign someone I like. Someone that's not older than me. That's a good start. Let's try aim younger. That's definitely what I want to say. Get faster, get more versatile. If we're going to be going with a totally different philosophy, I would hope that's the one they're going with. So, if they're going to do something different, then let's see it. That's all I can hope for.
And it's about time that they do it, because what they're doing, it ain't working. It's just not working. Gone go the individual stat cards of everybody's favorite players. It's now time to care about the front of the jersey. Right, Andrew? We say this every time. Care about the front of the jersey, not the guy on the back. Either way, Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso, it's been a pleasure. Good luck in LA and in Baltimore. Nothing's personal. Again, guys, like we said, we're moving on. All right? Business is baseball. Baseball is business. Same stuff. Anyways, we're going to end it off here. For those of you who were here the entire time, for those of you who popped in for a little bit, thank you guys so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the conversation. Maybe a little bit of a screaming fit here and there, but hey, emotions are running high. It's all good. For those of you watching or listening on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel. Turn on those post notifications to know when we go live, which is now going to be this day, Friday at 7:30 Eastern Time, which we are moving to fully throughout the entire offseason. Make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok. Follow all of us individually. And finally, even though it doesn't feel so cheerful right now, let's go Mets. And we will see you guys next time.